everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Insiders. I am the sniper, Denzel Snipes himself, and this is the sports agent, I call him Sean the Numbers Don. Sean Russi. He's been busting his tail as of late, crunching some numbers and stuff for the show. But before we get started, just want to inform everyone to follow us on all of our socials on Facebook, X, Instagram, and also TikTok as well. No, we are not on Snapchat. Sorry. And also, most definitely check us out on our website, sideline-se.com. Also, hey, the board is open. If you are a writer, you want to be a sports writer and whatnot, and you wish to write for us, go to sideline.se.com and fill out the application to join us section, and our head of recruiting will be right to you. So we'll get you back out to March Madness in just a moment. We actually will go over so far the NCAA men's basketball first round. Sean, how you feeling today, man?
No, everything's going good, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So far, not a bad first round at all. As we saw in the first four, Howard pulled it off over UMBC. Texas with a late score with seconds remaining to edge North Carolina State 68-66. They're currently playing BYU right now. They're up 17-14 in the first half. Also, we've got Prairie View A&M advancing from the first four. They beat Lehigh 67-55. Miami of Ohio, quite the story all season long. They had a unbeaten regular season, lost in the MAC tournament, and I thought they should have just been an outright seed, but they stuck them in the first four and they won 89-79. Me personally, I think that they are going to be that they're going to have a. I think they got enough to get to the Sweet 16, but more on that in a little bit. Also, in a thriller earlier, 4.1 seconds remaining. How about Xavier Evans with the not Evans? I'm sorry, Xavier Edmonds. Xavier Edmonds with the layup in the paint to give TCU the win, 66-64. They have advanced to the next round for the first time since 2023. Sean, your thoughts about the first round so far and other games?
Yeah, so that TCU game was obviously one of the closer games of the earlier slate today, outside of the that buzzer beater in the first four. Then we had Duke struggling for most of the afternoon. It looked like Siena might have actually pulled that off. Now, it was interesting. Siena basically played their starters the entire game. I'm not counting the last 10 seconds where they finally made a substitution. They played five guys and tried to make it through that way. And they held on, then they were close down the end. They couldn't get it done. And you wonder if they were just a little fresher, even if they were just 2 minutes off the court in the first half, if they could have finished it off. And then right now we've got Carolina leading VCU. But I think that TCU game is a lot of confidence from TCU, and they just saw Duke struggle. It's going to be an interesting second round matchup to see who moves on to the Sweet 16 there.
Indeed, indeed. And then also in the first round, bye-bye to most of y'all's brackets, if not everyone. Who had High Point, 12th seeded High Point, upset seeded Wisconsin with a score with seconds remaining to win 83-82?
Yeah, that was crazy. That game was close all game, and High Point continued to hit good shots and clutch shots. And it was funny. They showed the locker room speech, and he basically was like, "Look, he's like, now that you've beaten these guys, like you can beat anybody in front of you." And Wisconsin may have given High Point the confidence to be that Cinderella this year.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, shoot, it's out of them or Miami, Ohio, basically. We'll see which one of those two gets out of the next round, if not both of them. And of course, we got Nebraska beating Troy 76-47, and Louisville pulling it off against South Florida 83-79. Now on to our next topic, next and other topic, and that is our NBA playoff race is heating up now. So in the East, Toronto is currently the fifth seed. They lead Orlando, Miami, and Atlanta, and the Philadelphia 76ers by between 1 and 2.5 games, respectively. Orlando's currently the sixth seed. They're half game up on Miami and Atlanta, but they own the head-to-head against both teams. They're 1.5 up on Philly, 3.5 up on Charlotte. The Heat, being the seventh seed, they are tied with Atlanta. They're one game up on Philadelphia, three games up on Charlotte. Now, the East teams are pretty much set, but all seedings are up for grabs. Detroit is currently number one. They're up 3.5 on Boston. Boston's only up 1.5 on New York. New York is up 2 on Cleveland. The Cavs 2.5 up on Toronto and 3.5 up on Orlando. So, Sean, your thoughts about the Eastern Conference so far? Seems like it's pretty tight in there.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll start at the top, especially with Cade's injury. Boston could sneak up and take this one seed again. Detroit's going to probably struggle to hold on here now that they've confirmed it's at least 2 weeks without Cunningham, maybe more. And that's basically the rest of the regular season. He'll be back with maybe 10 days left in the regular season, if that. So Boston could catch up to Detroit. And then you've got New York kind of sitting there doing what they do. It'll be interesting to see because I think they play Boston once down the stretch. I think they play Cleveland one more time down the stretch. And it's the same with Orlando. They have another game with Cleveland. They play everybody in their division, I think, other than Miami, who they went 5-0 against. But they've got a game against Charlotte, who's probably arguably the hottest team in the East right now.
Yes.
Um, they've won like 14 of 17. They've looked amazing since the trade deadline, even though they were not major pieces. They were pieces that just happen to fit with that system, and it's worked really well. And obviously that rookie, Canuple up there is absolutely killing it. But Charlotte could be dangerous. But one thing I see here is, you've got four teams, so you could have half the playoffs be the Southeast Division. And
Right.
next year, with Washington having a healthy Trae Young and Anthony Davis, it would be crazy. But the Southeast Division could put in five teams next year.
Yeah, they very well could. Now, also, don't forget the Atlanta Hawks, probably the hottest team in the East. They've won 11 straight.
So, and they beat Orlando the other night, and it was at home, and not taking anything away from them because they shot well that night. But they've gone so young. They're hard for me to trust down the stretch here. I'd be interesting to see because their schedule's about to rev up. They basically won 9 straight against teams they should have beat. They've won these last 2 against 50-50 games. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. But they've at least put themselves in position that they're safely in the play-in. And I think that's where the argument, and we can talk about this on another show, where the NBA needs to shorten the season to 65 games because, and we'll see this when we talk about the West, the playoffs are basically set other than maybe a team sneaking up on someone and passing someone for a seed.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? With that being said, we'll slide on to see how this good old Western Conference is looking. So the Thunder,
You froze up, man.
they and the West playing is pretty much set. The seventh seed Suns are up 5 on any other playing team. Clippers, Blazers, Warriors all in a game with each other for seeds 8 through 10. That is going to be a pretty interesting play in. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, so the Warriors are really struggling, so I don't think they're going to get out of that. So it'll be interesting to see who survives in terms of the Suns, Clips, and Blazers. I think the Suns will be the one team definitely that makes it out of there.
Hmm.
And then, between the Clips and Blazers, it'll be really a toss-up game because the Clippers have played well of late, but they've been inconsistent throughout the course of the year. The Blazers are a young team. Obviously Lillard's on the bench. I don't expect any surprise return from Lillard for a play-in game.
Hmm.
I know he shot at the 3-point contest, but if you watch how gingerly he kind of moved around there, he's not ready. So I don't expect a Lillard return. So I think it ends up being the Suns and the Clippers in terms of who makes it from the play-in. But seeds 3 through 6, and it's the Lakers. I think out of this group is really the team that needs the home court advantage. They're all right above 500 on the road, but the Lakers significantly get blown out more on the road than any of the other 3 teams.
Right.
Um, so it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on to the 3 or at least the 4 to at least get the first round at home. If you hold on to the 3, maybe you get lucky if the 2 gets upset. And out west, that's definitely a possibility with how close they play. Um, Now the Thunder, they're safe. Now the thing with the Spurs, when they do meet, I think down the line, the Spurs have had the Thunder's number this year.
They have.
Wembanyama has been effective in terms of how they defend Shea. I think he's the only team that has figured out a way to hold Gregarious to 20.
Yeah.
um, so it'll be interesting to see if the Spurs can make it through, because they do typically have problems with the Wolves and the Rockets, the more athletic teams.
Yes.
The Nuggets not so much. And the Thunder, I'm not saying they're not athletic, but what Wemby has an effect on Holmgren that no other guy has been able to put an effect on him like that defensively. But I don't think this Thunder are going to slip out of the number one seed. They're too good in the regular season. And I think it really comes down to that 3 through 6. If the Wolves can steal the 3, that Spurs Wolves series will be the series I think that really decides who goes to the finals out of the West, because I think either of them will upset the Thunder. I don't even think the Spurs is an upset over the Thunder. Obviously, Anthony Edwards doing it is an upset, but I don't think the Thunder make it through this year.
Yeah, indeed. And I think, and I mean, even you look at the Lakers who have just won 2 straight over my Rockets, they sitting at the 3 seed. Now, do you think LA goes into the playoffs as the Lakers go into the playoffs as a 3 seed, or are they going to slip down to 4 or 5?
I think they could hold on to it. I think I pegged them more at the 4. I think the Wolves are going to push a little bit and make the 3, and then I think the Rockets are the 5, and I think the Nuggets are the 6. So I think you're going to see your Laker friends in the first round.
That's what I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, man, we might have to see these jokers in the first round.
Yeah. So the only thing I worry about with LA is they are going to push to keep the 3 seed, but the age of LeBron, and I know people are like, he's still going. That makes a difference when you get game 7 in the first round, get to game 7 in the second round. So if they play long series and they pushed for that home court advantage, I could see the fatigue playing an issue down in the playoffs.
At this point, this is where you have to put it on Luka Doncic. You obviously have to. He's the younger superstar. LeBron has to fall back to being the facilitator that he loves to do. He doesn't have to, give you 25, 26, 27. If LeBron can give you like 15 and 10 assists in a game 7, I think they got a pretty damn good chance to win, even if they're playing the Thunder.
I know they've done that a lot this year, but especially these last couple of weeks, if I'm up 12 late in the third, early in the fourth, I'm looking at getting LeBron, out of that and just playing only 28 to 30 minutes that night as early as possible for as much rest leading up to the playoffs. Because I think out west, kind of like we've seen the last couple of years, there's going to be a lot of long series because these teams are so close.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that being said, that concludes our episode of the Sports Insiders. Tune in, or check out all of our shows on the Sideline Sports and Entertainment Network. We are also on YouTube as well. So if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you send us a like and a follow, and hit the notification bell for all updates and new episodes. Check us out on our website, sideline-se.com. And for the numbers man himself, I'm Denzel Snipes. We'll see you next week. In fact, you'll see us both for Top Rope Talk. So stay tuned. See you later.